Welcome back to Skyrider Limited. Today on Kite Bag Tour, we're looking at more quads. So like I said, welcome back to Skyrider Limited. My name is Jesse, and today we are talking about quadline kites. So we've done a couple of quadline kite videos previously. We saw my set of Revolutions and what was in my main Revolution bag. Most recently, we saw the new set of quadline kites that are going to serve as my main workhorses, the Gins. Today, I thought we would look at some quadline oddities in my collection, as well as two other new quads that have arrived that will be riding along with the Gins in the main set. We're going to look at some stuff from very near to me and from very far away. And there are going to be some very interesting shapes today, so sit tight and we are going to dive right in. So in the late 80s to early 90s, there was basically one flavor of framed quadline kite, the Revolution. They were building the Rev 1 and the Rev 2 that we saw in a previous video. And then there was also a kite called the Backtracker, which was meant to be a beginner kite, which is probably one of the more divisive sport kites ever to come out. People either absolutely love it or absolutely hate it. I have heard it described as a load of fun. I've also heard it described as unflyable. Personally, I've never actually gotten to fly one. I would love to at some point, but that's not the story we're here to tell. In the early 90s, right around 1992-ish, Mark Ricketts designed a tensegral framed quadline kite called a Synergy Deca. Mark was working at Beverly, Mass. He was in Manchester first, working very close to where we live here on the North Shore. My dad met him, and we got hooked in together, and he would ultimately sponsor my dad and I. And so today, I have one of my dad's kites. This is his Deca 6 Comp. This was his standard and ultralight in this red, white, and blue scheme, which is actually Rubin white and blue, that my dad actually appliqued the stars on. And this is a Synergy Deca. So, everything on the frame is in tension. None of the sticks actually touch each other, which is part of the deal with the tensegral design. They were a lot of fun, and because of the bow shape, we're able to do some very interesting things like yo-yo roll-ups and things like that. This one, being a fairly early kite, is framed in Revolution Advantage carbon rods. The later kites would switch to a via framing. It was an interesting kite and not the easiest thing to fly, but people who could fly them well flew them very, very well. It's a cool kite and a cool kind of creation. Mark was brilliant, and he's still brilliant. He doesn't do kites anymore, but he is making awnings and things for events and concerts and things like that with the same tensegral design principles. Really remarkable artist and inventor. And the kite's just really cool. We don't have a lot of them left, but if you sit tight, I'm going to go grab a second one to share that is also kind of special. So the Decas came in a number of different flavors. The kite we just saw was what's called a 6. It had 6 main panels, the 2 belly panels, the 2 what we called eyes, and the 2 wingtips. There was also a kite called a 1, which was a single panel sail. It was meant to be more of a price point kite. He also made a 15, which was more of a patchwork look, but same size and layout as the 6. There was a kite called a 0, which ultimately got renamed as a Great Deca before being replaced by the Deca Indoor, which was significantly larger, lighter framed, and made for indoor flying and 0 wind. And then there was the Minergy. So here I have a what Guildworks called a psychedelic Minergy, but you'd recognize this fabric again as more of the tie-dye fabric from High as a Kite. So this is a Minergy 1 psychedelic High as a Kite tie-dye edition. Just really pretty piece. So unlike the other kite, which had a multi-piece bow, this kite's framed all in microcarbon. So you have this triangle of metal fittings with rubber end caps over, holding the tips open, and then a one-piece microcarbon bow. flown mostly indoors, but also fun outdoors. They were quick and really easy to over control, but a lot of fun and just sort of good for sort of playing around with and laughs. Um, so that's the Decas. Cool kites, very very innovative design, and a first try at something different in quadline, which was really cool. Nobody at that point had done anything other than soft kites, like power kites and foils, or uh, the revolutions. So it was really cool to see and to be a part of the Decas when they came out and sort of um, changed what quad lines were and made people think about quad line flying and what shapes could be flown as quad in a very different way. So that's the Decas. And sit tight. I'm going to get another kite with another kind of unique shape. So in May of 2001, we were at the East Coast Stunt Kite Championships in Wildwood, New Jersey, and we met some representatives from the Taipei County International Kite Festival in Taiwan. We got talking and hit it off with them, and they invited us to be part of the U.S. delegation for the Taipei County International Kite Festival in September of 2001. So obviously September 11th happened, and some things had to be examined whether or not we were going to go. Ultimately, we were able to work out a plan that allowed us to go and go in a way that we felt safe and able to, be part of this festival. And so about 2 weeks after September 11th, we boarded a plane and flew to Taiwan. While we were in Taiwan, we met a number of international flyers, people who I really admire to this day. And one of the flyers we met was from Holland. His name was Bart. And Bart was there as part of the delegation from his country. And one of the things Bart had with him was this really cool quadline kite. And he flew it. He let me fly it. I really liked it. Really enjoyed it. And he ended up going home with one. I do not know, to be honest, because I was still fairly young. I don't know if we bought it or if it was a gift, and I wish I could remember. But this is Bart's bat. And it's a cool little kite. It's all pultruded carbon and brass ferrules. And has these very interesting keels that serve as its bridle connections. And it flew pretty well. It was quick and fun and kind of interesting to bounce around the sky. And what was really cool about him is he has these silver reflective traces on him, which made him an interesting little night fly kite for sure. Just special and just a different shape. So like I was talking about with the last kite, was the Decas were part of a movement of new shapes in quadline, and this kite really shows some of the stuff. So this is still largely a flat quad kite like a Revolution, but here we have someone playing with the shape and playing with what was possible and what you could get to fly and fly well. So I wanted to share the bat with you guys because, again, just a cool kite and a different take. So in the last Kite Bag Tour video, we saw a number of Buena Vista Paris kites of my dad's and mine that featured the Gray Ghost scheme with a Reuben wingtip. And I told you to remember that, but didn't really explain why. So here's the explanation. If you remember, you have seen that color scheme show up on a few of my other kites. It features on my standard Carl Robichaud built Fury, Kite Related Designs Carl Robichaud Fury, and it shows up on my set of spurs from Canvas Kite Designs. So that's a color scheme I revisit from time to time, but it's gotten rather hard to revisit because Reuben is out of production. Well, recently, as I was thinking about getting new quads, one of my favorite people in kitings and a really good friend, Cassie Shook, who Cassie and her parents, Kath and Elliot, are Flying Smiles Kites in Corolla, North Carolina. So Cassie's dad makes quads. He makes the Compass Rose mesh quads. And I had flown Cassie's a few times, a few other people's, and I really enjoyed them. And she goes, I think I can get Elliot to let you have some of his stash of Reuben. Well, there was no way I was passing that up. And so what came of that were two kites, the first of which I have right here. And this is a Shook Compass Rose mesh quad. This is what's called a 135%. So the percentage, the naming, is based on the amount of opening in the sail based on a full vented Revolution 1.5. They are Rev 1.5 size. This is, like I said, the 135, so it's a little over full vent. But because it's the mesh, it will fly down to about standard wind and up past into like extra vent territory. The 135 is one of the two sort of workhorse sizes. Sort of standard for my my quads. Switched to the French bridle. On this one, we also see the magic sticks on the back. These are framed in Sky Shark X Series, PX Series tubes, the woven carbon. So this is a P3X frame in this one. And Elliot uses these die-cut holes in the leading edge instead of mesh to just build a more resilient sail. The weaving on this is really cool. So you notice this is actually woven, white above, white below there on the gray. And what's really cool is they are only sewn in one direction. So they are sewn in whatever direction they are overlapping on top. Which again makes this kite bleed air really evenly and allows it to work really well over a variety of wind ranges. Again, with that beautiful Reuben on here and the compass rose on the center. So we did a similar gradient, the black to gray to white that the gins feature, but in the crossing colors, I stuck with all white on the right way, left wing, my right now, but your left, and the Reuben slashes on the opposite side, matching my pairs kites from way back, and also my spurs. So this is the 135. I'm going to leave this right here for you guys, and I'm going to go grab the other kite. So the other half of the workhorse sandwich is the 75% mesh. So that's what I have here now, framed in 2X, a little lighter. This will serve sort of in the same realm as standard into mid-vent and push down towards, but not all the way quite to the ultralight range. So there's a 40 below this in mesh. There's also a 175 and a 240 above. That constitutes kind of the whole range. So I'm going to pick these both up so you can kind of see the differences in them. And you can see the difference in the venting. But other than the difference in the venting amount, which is basically the size and number of stripes, and these two being framed in slightly different frames, which just gives me some flexibility with their framing weight, you can see the construction details are very consistent. Elliot is so good at what he does. I'm actually going to bring the 75 closer to the camera here because I want you to be able to see just how clean and consistent his stitching is, even when there's like overlapping panels. Just how beautifully done that compass rose is, despite it being very small panels. Just everything very, very precise. Elliot is a real artist, as is Kathy. She does her hadas as well with the compass rose on them, the little single line kites. And Cassie is making kite bags and has also started making kites as well, and is becoming quite the kite artist in her own right, which is really, really cool. Sorry about that weird little camera glitch there, but like I was saying, if you've been flying quads for a while and you're looking for something higher end, the mesh quads, the compass rose quads from Flying Smiles, and then the Shooks are a great option. Just beautiful workmanship, and you know, really, really wonderful experience choosing colors, and you know, getting custom kites is always fun. So that wraps up our look at the new quads and some old ones. I hope you enjoyed this video. as always, appreciate so much everyone liking and subscribing and sharing. And we will see you out there, Skyrider.